Hey guys, Stephen Mead. Let's see. Tony, I know. Brian, I've talked to. Everybody else in the group, I haven't had the privilege or pleasure of meeting you yet, but hopefully soon. This is going to be an update for the COP28, what we are calling the Earth Action Forum. Why are we calling it the Earth Action Forum? I've been involved in eco-environmental stuff probably 10 or 12 years. I apologize. I don't like the space. I've pissed off more than a couple people at the UN when I've spoken because I have a great slide I put up that says awareness builds apathy, actions bring achievements. And so much of the UN, SDG, these people are all awareness campaigns. And I'm so frustrated by it. I think we have a real opportunity to kind of change the paradigm and change the world on a lot of different things. So um, this idea came up to me initially. I'm going to do some screen share here. It's kind of fun and interesting. If I go screen share, share. A friend of mine, Greg Reitman, I'm on the board of something called the Blue Water Film Festival. Why is this important? You'll see why it's important, but the Blue Water Film Festival's been around for a while. Another big one's coming up. A lot of films. Um, just a lot of history around doing kind of blue water films. And I live in LA, for those of you that don't know. So I have access to a lot of very interesting people, not to name drop, but I mean, Terry, who runs the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, and the Spielbergs, and Mark Dalio, and Louis, who won a documentary for The Cove, and Ed Beckley and Jason Momoa, a lot of people around entertainment. And just bear with me for a moment. You'll kind of see where this goes, because I think setting some historical context and some executional strategy will be important. Greg called me and said, "Hey, you know that COP28 is going to be in Dubai next year?" And I said, actually, no, I didn't. This was right when COP27 Egypt was ending. I'd heard, some good stuff and some bad stuff on the execution there, but fair enough. And he said, "I'd like to do something in Dubai where maybe I could show a film. Can you get me a hotel partner?" And me being very pedantic and specific and bullseye, I said, "Greg, what's a hotel partner? Like, I don't know what that means." "Well, maybe a hotel partner will give us free hotel rooms." "Why?" "Well, so I can show a film." And I'm like, "Well, how do you show a film at a hotel?" I was so confused by what he was asking. But again, Blue Water Film Festival, the Institute, it's a nonprofit. They run the film festival. He didn't quite have an idea, but it got a spark thinking on him. I was like, oh, this thing with COP in Dubai is going to be really fascinating. If COP27 had 65 heads of state, 180 dignitaries, 35,000 people. I was just in Dubai all during Expo. I know where Expo City is. It's way out at the end of the line. People go out there, they're back and forth. They're not staying out there the whole time during Expo. COP's going to be 13 days all the way out at the end of the line. It's like, oh, what could we do in Dubai that might be interesting? So I started looking around and sort of stumbled across what we're going to do. And the good news is, Tony, if you're watching, Brian, all of you guys watching, the venue is available. It's ours. You may not know what that means, but you will when I get done talking about this. But super excited. I spent an hour on the phone with the team over there, and they're so excited about what I'm about to propose to you guys that hopefully we can execute on. So the goal and the idea became, how do we do something that's entertainment related, but wrap it around COP? And unfortunate, years ago, for those of you, maybe you know, maybe you don't, the big events, I do all the big events, TED, Davos, Milken, Future Investment Initiative, FII in Riyadh. But one of the most fascinating to me, I love this one. It was brilliant. Doug Band created it for President Clinton when Clinton came out of office. It was called Clinton Global Initiative, CGI, not Clinton Foundation. Those of you that get it confused, the foundation side had some, issues, but CGI, Clinton Global Initiative, was brilliant in the execution of what Doug did. And he did three things that I thought were really fascinating that I'm like, I always wanted to duplicate this, but never the right opportunity. Now I feel it is. Number one, he did the event for CGI during the UN week, the United Nations week in September. Two, he made you apply for a commitment. And three, he tracked the action to the commitment. So Let's walk through that. Number one, the brilliance of doing it during the United Nations week. It's called a piggyback conference, right? You've got TED. Those of you that may not know, I've been to TED for years, Long Beach, Vancouver. The tag along, the pop up event was called Bill. You guys may not know that Bill and Ted's adventure is funny, but Ted's got the big, Chris and his group does amazing with TED, but the satellite event was called Bill. And I knew the guys that organized that too. And the benefit of Bill is they got all the TED speakers to just pop over and speak for free. United Nations Week, during the UN week in New York in September, the global elite was already there. The heads of state were there. Doug and President Clinton were able to do the CGI event and say, hey, we're already doing CGI. Why don't you come over? They didn't have to pay speaker fee. They didn't pay travel fee. They didn't pay logistics. It was obviously President Clinton's draw for them to come over, which I believe we can do. But the benefit was there wasn't big speaker fees. It wasn't like, oh, I'm Steve Wozniak, who I know through Ken. Oh, pay me X amount of money and I'll show up. No, it's like, hey, you're already here. Why don't you pop over? And so looking at COP28 and the UN and what's going to be happening, there's already going to be a lot of people that are there. Dubai loves entertainment. They have not had big red carpets. They haven't had really, really big stars there yet. They haven't done big film premieres, but they love the entertainment. The group out of Sharjah that I know starting to fund movies. They funded Valentina Quinn, my friend's movie with Federico from Monaco. They're funding a polo movie. Another friend of mine shooting right now in Jeddah with the Red Sea Film Festival that the group ran. So there's this interest in entertainment. Where am I going with this? Well, if you look around, right, you got Clinton Global Initiative, CGI, which popped back up. You've got TED. You also have WEF. All of these things are these events, but COP28's coming up. The biggest event, according to Sheikh Rashid and Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. This is going to be a big deal. What do we want to do? I looked around and thought, wow, this is really interesting. In Dubai, they have the Vox Theater, the Vox Cinema. So those of you that are watching now, hopefully this is moving into tactical strategy, execution, differentiation, and opportunity, kind of all in one. In Dubai is the Vox Cinemas. It's owned by Majid Group. It's a massive group, but there's the Vox 12, and it's right next to the Grand Hyatt. I mean, by right next to, it's walking distance over. What does the Vox Cinema have? It's beautiful. It's got 12 theaters, IMAX, 4K, 3D. Like, these are beautiful, beautiful theaters. I have the list of all 12 theaters and what they are. So now you have a specific facility with 12 theaters right next to the Grand Hyatt. The Vox Megaplex, again, these are pictures of it, but it's beautiful and brilliant the way it's set up. What do we want to do? We want to do something never been done before. We want to do, in conjunction with SDG Impact and Tony, Blue Water Film Festival, we want to bring in content, and basically we want to take, let me move this to a different screen share. I'm going to do stop share here. I'm going to jump over here. If you guys are following me, I'm going to go to a Word document. The goal is, if you can see this, imagine the opportunity to rent the theater, which is available for us. I have the pricing. It can be unbelievable. We would have the entire theater. Now we have 12 cinemas, or we have the entire cinema. We have 12 theaters. However you want to do the wording, we have one megaplex with 12 independent theaters. We want to format each theater to an SDG format. So those of you that know the SDG, right? 17 goals or 17 partnerships. We went through all 17 and we said, hey, let's take a look at which ones would make the most sense to have a theater that could potentially have a movie tied to it with celebrities and panels with the top people in the world, with panels and celebrities with content, and then showing 2 or 3 panels during the day and then showing the film at night. And we looked at it. So I'll give you an example. If I go down here, number 10, Life Below Water is SDG Goal 14. Well, if theater number blah 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 was SDG 14. So we know it's life underwater. What would we do? I'll give you the thread on this. We go back with Blue Water Film Festival and say, okay, let's and Greg's already on board with this. We would open up global submissions for a film festival, global submissions where the films would have to submit just like a normal film festival, but they'd have to pick the SDG they're most aligned to. Jason Momoa, Aquaman, has a new film coming out. It's part of the film festival. So what would be the goal? The goal would be, say, all right, we're showing Jason's film. Jason would be on a panel in the afternoon, along with maybe Chairman Ahmed from the DMCC, who loves water, and the head of sustainability for Dubai. We would be able to run a panel in the afternoon. The theaters are already set up for this. They're already set up for corporate engagements, but people normally just rent one theater and do a corporate engagement. We're talking about the whole theater formatted to a goal. So think about it. In the afternoon, you'd have Jason Momoa, Aquaman, 2 or 3 other people running a panel on water and sustainability and life underwater, showing a trailer. At night, you could show the film in the theater, invitation only, for the theater, the studios, the sponsors to be able to come in. The timing for this, guys, is unbelievable. November is right at the beginning of the marketing for the Oscars, BAFTA, all of the awards, the movie awards coming up. The studios that I've spoken to are so excited. They're like, you're kidding me. They would have an opportunity to showcase a film pre-Oscar, a documentary. Like Louis won an Oscar for The Cove. We're trying to get Louis involved. We're talking about people that have won. Participant Productions won, and I know the guys that participate. They did Syriana, Charlie Wilson's War, Kite Runner. They won an Oscar for An Inconvenient Truth. They've done film on water. We're talking about a formatted theater specifically to a goal, and then having celebrities and then showing the films at night. Never been done. And it would give us 12 opportunities. And then what we would do, again, walking through format here, let's share screen. Let's go back. This is what I do on the Bullseye. The way I work's a little different than most people. I say, well, wait a minute here. If we're going after SDG 14, I go do research and say, hey, what are the companies that support the SDG number 14? Let's go find sponsors for the theater who've already announced that they support that particular goal. Oh, sorry, guys. Got phones coming in, timers going, all kinds of stuff. There we go. So they've already announced. So if we scroll down here, we can say, hey, here's a bunch of companies that support SDG 14. Callista, who I don't know. If we go down here, Dell, I know the guys at Dell. Adidas, I know some Adidas guys. The Ocean Conference. I think Microsoft is in here. Oak Foundation. Eric and Wendy Schmidt. I've met Eric before. He's been on our boats in Monaco during the Formula One. Coca-Cola. This is a target list of companies who I know, and you guys probably know too, either are already going to be at COP and maybe have a big presence, maybe have a small presence, maybe have no presence, but would love one. We could format the sponsors into the event and into the theater tied to the goal. And what we do now, if we look at something like PwC, Price Waterhouse, PwC, I think would be a great top line sponsor, better than Accenture, McKinsey. PwC is really entrenched in UAE. They've got all kinds of people, BlackRock, Blackstone. There's tons of people. Zoom, my friends at Zoom. I know Zoom would participate. I'm with Zoom. I'm with the guys again coming up in Davos, but Zoom could be a partner. Not only they've got their Zoom philanthropy, they've got their foundation, they've got all kinds of things Zoom does around SDG. I've also aligned, I'm pretty sure a friend of mine is going to give us anywhere from $7 to $10 million of free advertising. He's got distribution, what's called OTT, over the top, into, I think, 15 million homes, and is willing to donate $7 to $10 million worth of free advertising. So for a sponsor, we would have premier venue, the ability to be on stage with celebrities and top level people. This is not something for 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people. We're talking about a TED style event with 12, 15, 1,800, but now we're split among different theaters. We can stagger the times for the panels. People could go to one or two panels, but this is an amazing formatted opportunity logistically. So much easier to execute. Imagine, I have friends they just did the Web3 Summit in Vegas. They rented the Wynn Hotel. We had Kevin O'Leary there and John and Jerry. They had massive rooms, 800 seats spread out, big stages. The cost was millions of dollars because they had all these stages and all the seating and the staff. It's a theater. Theater's already there. The screens are there, 4K, 3K, 3D. We're talking about legitimate infrastructure already in place. And then again, because of the name, the Earth Action Forum, we would want this to be action solution oriented. And the goal would be to have companies, not startups, not wish lists, not I can change the world with yellow hammocks out of Thailand. I love the yellow hammocks guy. They're not changing the world by hiring people creating hammocks in Thailand. We're talking about big, legitimate solutions. I have friends in Dubai, super cool. They've got an IoT device, an Internet of Things. The IoT device attaches to solar panels, calculates the amount of carbon reduction, and earns credits for the homeowner to redeem credits to buy things. Like, we're talking about real world solutions. Now, the benefit with the Grand Hyatt, again, if I go back here, Vox Megaplex, here, the Grand Hyatt is right next door. This is one of the top venues for conferences. So if we wanted to, we could have a supply chain, not an investor, but an actual solutions group, a vendor location set up off-site, not in the theater. The theater is going to be for the invitees, for the dignitaries. This is high-end VIP invitation only. Never been done in Dubai. Like the Vox Cinema Maji guys are like, we've never seen this. We're in. What can we do? We want to be involved. The benefit to at the theater, they already have food and drink inside. They already have concessions. They already have F&B. The Grand Hyatt next door has 3, I believe, or 4 restaurants that if we want to do something a little more high level with past hors d'oeuvres, it's already there. The infrastructure is there. The Grand Hyatt next door would enable us a footprint to do vendors. And if we wanted as a group to do a high-end dinner, maybe an awards ceremony or something one night, the venue is there. But guys, this is teed up. This is ready to go. The reason I held off on doing an update call, was if I didn't think we could lock down the venue, if I didn't think we could get Vox Cinema, not any. These guys have 87 all through UAE. This particular one, the Vox 12 theaters right off the highway, right next to the metro, right next to the Grand Hyatt. Again, we can call the Pritzkers and Penny and see if we can get the Pritzkers and the Hyatts involved and figure it out. But the venue to do something here, I think would be fascinating and an amazing opportunity, and would really put us in a great position if we can execute this one. We have till November, lots of time. The ball is rolling. That's why I'm sharing this with everybody. Super excited. Again, I'll start posting more in the group. I'll start posting some articles and things like that. But that's the update. Anybody wants information, feel free to reach out to me. The last thing I'll show real quick, just because I think it's somewhat interesting. Now I'm going to be rambling a bit, but I don't mean to be. Let me go screen share. What the guys from Majid also sent me, and from Vox was, I'm not sure if I can get it to open. Let's see if this will open. They actually sent me a theater breakdown. This is where we would start needing some help in planning, is we would actually have to go to, let's see if this will work. Each theater has a certain number. Let's see if this will let me share, guys. Otherwise, I'm just rambling on. If Zoom works properly. Here we go. I had them send, this is confidential, but they sent it to me. So this is the Cineplex. This is all 12 theaters. And I think it's super cool. So theater screen 1 is 3D, 460 seats. So what we would have to do is, again, and this is where Tony was excited about, those of you that I haven't met yet on the team, we would reverse engineer and say, okay, if theater 1 is 3D and 400 seats, which of the SDG goals has the biggest potential number of audience and participants. Like I believe 14 Life Underwater, because of Dalio and Louis and Jason Momoa. Like Life Underwater is probably a bigger one than maybe Gender Equity or something that might be smaller. But we have the list here. This is the total number of seats. This is the type of screen. So the 40X Theater 10 is 4D, only 68 seats. That's that other picture I showed you. So some of these are IMAX, some are 3D, some are standard 2D. Again, not that it's less of a type of theater, but the opportunities there. That's what the Vox is. That's what this was that I was showing. The Vox Theater here is this. So some of these pictures you'll see like as we go through. This one I think is the one with the smaller number. But again, to do a high-end event, invitation only, this would be a game changer for not only the region, but for all of us involved to pull it off. So that's it. Again, update. I'm hoping we can start putting more in place. I'm going to put together a spreadsheet, try and break down the SDGs. What our goal would be is to lock down the venue. I have the pricing down. I'm going to meet with them in January, figure out contracts, deposits for the venue to hold. But I want to do a spreadsheet with each theater and SDG goal, and then figure out potential sponsors tied to each of those. And I don't know the roles of everybody. Tony has some specific ideas for you guys involved. I want to start learning more on that, but everything's in place and ready to go. So super excited. Hope you all had a great holiday. We're moving into 2023. Let's make it happen.